Welcome back to the channel. Today we're recapping and reviewing episode 5 of Dexter Original Sin. Let's get into it. Episode 5 is called F is for Fuck Up. The episode opens up immediately following our final scene from the previous episode. Mad Dog, who was going to be one of Dexter's victims, got hit by a car. He got away from Dexter and went running down the road, got hit by a car. Dexter's inner voice says how he has 15 minutes to do a cleanup because of the average response time from Miami Metro. So he knows he has 15 minutes to go back into Mad Dog's house, take down the kill room, clean everything up. He also says thanks to Miami Metro, he has more than enough tools to get the job done. But Miami Metro comes knocking and Dexter is still in the house, so he has to briefly hide from them. Dexter gets home, Harry's home waiting for him, asks him how everything went with Mad Dog. Dexter's response is he'll never hurt anyone again. And Harry says, so why am I hearing his name on the radio? And Dexter tells him Mad Dog got away. Harry's pissed, says to Dexter, what if he got away? Like, you would be fucked. Dexter says, I followed the code. Harry thinks Nurse Mary was way too soon and Dexter wasn't ready for this yet. He essentially grounds Dexter, tells him he's not allowed to leave the house, even for work, and we're going back to basic training when it comes to the code. In our next scene, Deb shows up to school with her new boyfriend and, the mean girls at school are kind of jealous. And then Harry goes to check on Mad Dog's body. The coroner tells him I doubt this will end up in homicide unless there's some kind of connection between him and the driver. And then in our next scene, Dexter's bored at home because he's not allowed to leave the house even for work. His inner voice says how death didn't feed his dark passenger, only killing did, so he was still hungry because he didn't get to kill Mad Dog. So he raids the fridge, clearly trying to fill some kind of void. He eats like a whole container of brownies, and we see that there is a little post-it on the container of brownies that says it's for Deb's volleyball team, do not eat. And then our next scene is at Miami Metro. Harry, Tanya, and everyone are kind of practicing the trial for Levi Reed. This is the case that has kind of been going on since the first episode. Harry has to go to court for the case, so he's just kind of practicing the trial. And then we get another flashback with Harry and Laura. She's counting money. Harry says, great work. Laura tells him the Colombians are starting to trust her and they want to take her to the Keys for like a little vacation. And Harry says no because he's kind of jealous, but also I'm sure just like worried for her safety. Harry goes to leave Laura's house and Laura asks him like, you're leaving? I thought after the other night you'd want to stay. Harry tells her it was great what happened the other night, but it can't happen again. You're my CI, I'm married. But of course he ends up staying and hooking up with her. In our next scene, Dexter is still at home. He's watching TV, laughing to himself. Deb comes home. He keeps saying her name all weird and just acting not like himself at all. And he reveals that he ate 6 brownies and Deb tells him they're pot brownies. So he ate 6 pot brownies. Sounds like a terrible time to me. He's freaking out because he doesn't like being out of control and he's paranoid that he's going to do something that he shouldn't do, and he begs Deb to stay with him. Now, I will say this is a slight inconsistency with the original Dexter show because in season 2, the whole Bay Harbor Butcher thing, when Dexter thinks he's about to get caught, he plans to confess to Deb that he's the killer. He calls her to ask her to come over to have some steaks, and he's acting a little weird on the phone in the original show, and Deb says, are you smoking something? And Dexter says, no, I've always been curious to try it. Do you have any weed? So he has never tried weed before. So this prequel show does have a few little inconsistencies like this. I actually have been making a note of all of them because once the season's over, I'll probably do a video just talking about the little inconsistencies. Obviously, I guess it's not that big of a deal, but it does bother me a little bit. But anyway, getting back to the recap, he had just begged Deb to stay with him because he's paranoid. They hang out, they eat a bunch of food, laughing about stupid stuff. Deb likes that they're bonding. She asks him about Sophia, her friend who he's sort of dating. He says it's going well. Deb wants to do a double date with Gio, her new man. She gets a little sad because it's the 1-year anniversary since their mom died. Deb wants to talk about her, asks Dex, do you think she'd be proud of us? Dexter says, I don't know, I'm a terrible person. At the same time, when Deb admits that she pawned her pearl necklace. But in response to Dexter saying, I'm a terrible person, Deb says, it's not like you killed someone. And Dex says, what if I did, hypothetically? Him accidentally getting high was definitely a little risky because, you know, who knows what he would have said if they kept talking about this. The next morning, Dexter makes breakfast and Deb says to him, you were saying so many crazy things last night. Dexter's a little worried. He says, really, like what? And Deb just says it was about like the pizza shapes. If you remember, Dexter was like laughing his ass off about the shape of pizza. He said something like it's a circle made up of triangles in a square box. That scene when Dexter was high definitely didn't feel like himself, which I guess was the whole point of it. It was just to show a different side of Dexter, but I don't know, it was a little weird to see him behaving that way. As Dexter's cooking breakfast, Harry comes into the room, mentions how, you know, it's 1 year since mom died, we miss her, I see glimmers of her in both of you, and Deb wants to stop by her grave. So they all plan to stop by the cemetery later that day. After Deb leaves, Harry tells Dexter he's going to work today. Dex goes to work, Tanya's there watching a horse race, and Dexter hands out mail to everyone. Harry asks Dexter if he's learned to fingerprint yet, and he wants Dexter to fingerprint the guy who ran over Mad Dog. Dex kind of questions him, and Harry says, you said no one saw you, right? Also a little risky, like obviously Harry's kind of testing him a little bit like, oh, you said no one saw you, everything's fine, right? But what if the driver had seen Dexter? What if Dexter was wrong? He did get seen, and now Harry is just setting him up to get in serious trouble, which could also lead to Harry getting in trouble. LaGuardia is questioning the driver who killed Mad Dog and, you know, asking him, was Mad Dog chasing anyone? Was anyone chasing him? Was anyone else on or near the road? The guy says no. The guy is very distraught. He thinks he's a murderer. LaGuardia assures him it was an accident, mistakes happen, and Dexter's inner voice says he has to learn from his mistakes. And that's when he kind of gets the idea to use the sedative from the horse race that Tanya's watching. You know, one of the horses gets injured. He's kind of questioning her about it, like what do they use on the horses? That's where he gets the idea for the sedative. Tanya has to leave for her daughter's basketball game, so that gives Dexter enough time to leave as well. Our next scene, Harry is in court for the Levi Reed case. They don't have a full fingerprint for him, but there is other evidence plus past criminal records, so that's why they took him in the first place in episode 1. But they bring in Reed's alibi, but she looks different from the last time we saw her. When Harry is questioning his alibi, this woman at Miami Metro, she looks like a drug addict. She's clearly strung out. She doesn't know what day it is, so Harry ignored the alibi. But this poses an issue. Reed's case gets dismissed because Harry suppressed evidence by denying the alibi. This woman who looked like a drug addict before comes into the courtroom looking all put together. I didn't even recognize her at first. I didn't think it was the same person. I thought this was some random woman. So I don't know, was this like a setup by Reed? Did he send in his girl looking like a crackhead, knowing that this would happen? I really didn't know what was going on with that. Either way, the case gets dismissed. Harry messed up big time. The episode title, F is for fuck up, is very fitting because, you know, Harry fucked up and Dexter fucked up with Mad Dog. Spencer is pissed. He tells Harry to take the rest of the day off so he can figure out what to do next about Harry. And Levi walks out of the court laughing. Our next scene, Dexter arrives at the horse stables to obtain the tranquilizer that he uses going forward. Dexter lets the horse out of the stable to create a distraction. And then Harry and Dexter don't make it home in time to see Deb to go to Doris's grave. So she calls Gio, her new boyfriend. He takes her. to the cemetery, gives her flowers for the grave. Deb talks to her mom and cries about feeling like an outsider with Dad and Dex. Dexter arrives back at Miami Metro looking for Harry, but he's not there. Angel tells Dexter about how Harry fucked up the alibi and Reed is a free man. Obviously, this is setting it up for Dexter to kill Levi Reed in possibly the next episode. Harry then goes to Doris's grave, sees the flowers that Deb left, and then we get another flashback. Harry leaves Laura's room and sees Dexter drawing in the living room. Dexter drew Harry as part of the family. Harry gets him back to bed. Laura sees and asks, Dexter isn't the first kid you put to bed, is he? And Harry tells her about his biological son who died and says it was his fault. Harry goes home and Doris is waiting up for him. She's in a good mood and tells him that she's pregnant. But Harry seems a little surprised and says, we've barely been trying. And Doris says, I know, it's a miracle. This scene is a little suspicious to me, and I do have a theory about this scene. Please go check it out. It's one of my most recent videos. I think Harry is possibly not Deborah's real dad. He's surprised that Doris is pregnant and says we've barely been trying. So I think Doris cheated. She was lonely and depressed after the death of their biological son. Harry was always out working or having an affair with Laura, so she was probably lonely, cheated with someone else. And I think deep down Harry knew this, but he never said anything because he was also out cheating. And once Laura died, he just, didn't want to leave his wife with this baby. Obviously, this is something that they never reveal in the original show, but I do think they could possibly reveal this in Original Sin to just us, the audience. Like, obviously, Deb and Dexter will never find this out, but this prequel has already been revealing some things that we didn't know before, like Harry having a biological son. So definitely check out my theory video for more details on this. And then Harry goes out drinking because he's upset about the case that he lost. Spencer shows up to drink with him. Spencer tells him how it was a major fuck up and the mayor needs someone to blame. Harry says, let me save you the trouble, and goes to turn in his badge. But Spencer tells him, you're the best detective I have. I saved your job, but there will be consequences. And he takes Harry off the Powell case and tells him, you're at the bottom with LaGuardia. Now, this is another scene that I have a theory video on. It's my most recent video, a theory about Captain Spencer possibly being the big bad for the season. Please go check out that theory video. I think Spencer could be involved with the Powell kid, and this little scene here was suspicious. Why would he want his best detective off the Powell case? Maybe because he doesn't want his best detective finding out that he's the killer. After the bar, Harry goes driving to see Levi Reed at a party. Harry gets out of the car, takes out his gun, goes to shoot him, but Dexter injects Harry with the sedative. He puts Harry on his table and tells him to try to get free. Dexter is kind of doing this to prove to Harry that this won't be an issue again, like his next victim will not get away the way that Mad Dog did. It was so weird to see Harry on his table. I don't think this is something that we've seen in the original show. I think this is new to the prequel. At first, I thought it was Reed. I thought Dexter just injected Harry to prevent him from shooting Reed, and I thought Dexter got Reed himself to put on his table. It took me a few seconds to realize that it was Harry, which I think was so risky because Deb could have come home at any moment, which is what Harry says to him. And Dexter's like, don't worry, she's at a friend's house. But anything could go wrong. Like, Deb was with her boyfriend. Maybe they got in a fight and she comes home early and walks in and sees this. Can you imagine? Harry's clearly freaking out a little bit as he's strapped down to this table. And I think a small part of him was afraid Dexter would kill him. I definitely would be scared that he could snap at any moment. If I was Harry, raising this kid to be a killer and knowing that he has these urges to kill, I feel like I would be scared of Dexter, that he could just snap and kill me at any moment. What if the urges take over him? Also, this is where Harry gives Dexter the tip on using smelling salts to wake up his victims so he doesn't have to wait as long. Harry also tells Dexter to take out Levi Reed. He gives him the go-ahead. After he cuts Harry loose, he rearranges the living room the way it was. And then in the final scene, Dexter goes to Doris's grave to kind of talk to her a little bit. He mentions how he overheard Doris and Harry talking back in the day and how he knows that she wanted to get him examined. And at the time, Dexter thought she was trying to get rid of him, but really she was trying to help him. And he misses someone seeing the good in him, even if it wasn't there. So there you have it. That is my recap for episode 5 of Dexter Original Sin. I really enjoyed this episode. I think it was even better than last week's. I'm honestly just enjoying the show way more than I ever thought I would when it was first announced. I have said to you guys before, when the show was first announced back in the summertime, I was a little hesitant. I didn't think that anyone could play Dexter other than Michael C. Hall, but Patrick Gibson, he is absolutely killing it. He definitely did his homework, studied Michael C. Hall's mannerisms. He has it down. I'm obviously enjoying everyone else as well. Masuka, LaGuerta, Batista, everything is spot on. Obviously, I'm very intrigued with both storylines in this season with Levi Reed and the person who killed Jimmy Powell. I'm just eager to see next week's episode. After episode 6, then we have a little hiatus. They're going to take a week off. But definitely check out my 2 recent Dexter theory videos. They both have to do with this episode, episode 5, so please check them out. Leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts. Please give this video a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you're new here. You can definitely expect a lot more Dexter content. Make sure you turn on all notifications so that you don't miss out. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.